what the actual F am I doing? What direction am I going? What is happening with this? When you are pivoting, it's hard, it's messy, you're confused. You get a period of running two directions at once. Should I be doing this? That's good to do this, but should I be doing this? Is this more aligned? I'm not sure.
Entrepreneur, Audacity, audacious. Now they watching.
Every successful entrepreneur that you admire has had to pivot at least some point in their life. What they don't show you is what that actually looks like on the inside, not just the highlight reels you see on Instagram. Today, I'm breaking down the difference between pivoting and quitting, what adaptability actually looks like versus the cleaned up version, the biggest mistakes people make mid-pivot, and the identity piece that no one talks about. I've pivoted this business more than once. I've gone from health coaching to confidence and leadership coaching with the brand that you see today. I didn't execute those pivots perfectly, but I can tell you exactly what made them work eventually. Pivoting is not the same as quitting, and here's how you know the difference. So how do you know if you're pivoting with purpose or just running away from something that got hard? There is a massive difference between pivoting and quitting. A lot of the time when we quit, we just chuck the towel in and say like, that's it, I'm giving up. But when we pivot, it's understanding that you've had something, you've tried something, it actually isn't the right fit for what you want to achieve, and you are then just going to redirect. It doesn't mean that you're going to completely throw the towel in and give up on business or give up on your career or give up on your goals. It just means that you're then changing what the objectives are. For me, when I realized that I had to pivot was when I was in the wrong kind of coaching. You see, I was looking at weight loss coaching, and if I reflect, it's something that I'm truly passionate about. I have a lot of experience in personally and helping people, but it's not the thing that really drives me. You see, for me, what I love doing is helping people be confident within themselves and within their leadership. So for me, I had to pivot my branding that I wasn't going to be a weight loss coach, that I was actually a confidence and leadership coach, because that's my bread and butter. And that's what I really enjoy doing. So when you quit, you just throw the towel in. But when you pivot, it's updating your new direction based on real information. And the information that I was getting was, as much as I loved the health and fitness space, it wasn't my bread and butter. I couldn't talk about it till the cows come home without getting kind of bored. You know, for me, weight loss is eat less than you burn. Simple. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the back end of it. And there are people out there that are way more passionate about it than I am. And I can recognize that. And if it was truly something that was passionate for me, I would be able to go meh, 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 all day, every day, but I couldn't. Now you turn that angle onto confidence and leadership. I could sit here and record these videos to you all day, every day. I can blabber on about it, blabber on about Audacity. That's my brand. And that's what I realized. Like, I was getting real feedback when I was having these conversations about weight loss that, hang on a second, it's not actually the area that I really thrive in. So I had to pivot and I had to change my direction based on the information that I got, which was that I was not in the field that I needed to be in. A pivoting is a data-driven decision based on the feedback that your current path isn't the expression of where you want to go. It's a strategic move. It's not a surrender. You're not throwing in the towel. You're not giving up completely. You're just recognizing based on the data, hang on a second, this actually isn't what I want to work in or I want to do. This area doesn't represent the business that I'm trying to build. This doesn't align with my company and its values. We're going to take that data and change our direction. And that's what happens when you pivot. You stop, you assess, you look at the data, and then you make a data-informed decision that, hang on a second, we're not going to go here, we're going to go this way because this is more aligned to where I want to go than this direction. What adaptability looks like and not the cleaned up version. Adaptability looks great in retrospective. In the moment, it looks like something else entirely. Let me explain. When we look at a highlight reel, it's all the bold decisions, a clean transition, a new direction that works immediately. you know, we've looked at this data, it's great, and now we're going this way, and oh my God, everything has taken off. But reality, you go through periods of what the actual F am I doing? I know that because I've experienced it so many times. And even now, sometimes I'm like, what direction am I going? What is happening with this? When you're in a mood, like when you are pivoting, it is hard. It's hard. It's messy. You're confused. You get a period of running two directions at once. Should I be doing this? That's good to do this, but should I be doing this? Is this more aligned? I'm not sure. So you're running these two decisions. Sometimes you're making the wrong moves as well. And that's where failure comes into it. And you're going to mess it up. It's just natural. It's part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of taking risks in anything is failure. And you got to be okay to accept the fact that you are probably going to fall on your face when you pivot, but it doesn't mean that you're going in the wrong direction. When you pivot, you have to make a lot of decisions based on information that you actually don't even have available. It's incomplete, but you have to trust that you are pivoting in the right direction based on where you want to go, based on the data and that real feedback that you got. Because if you try and go down a road that you know isn't the right road, you're eventually going to have to turn either a hard right or a hard left. And you can do that with data and with a bold decision to pivot. Or you can do it when you've hit a wall and then you've got to reverse and then you have to pick which lane to drive down. When I pivoted in my business from weight loss coaching to confidence and leadership coaching, I had a complete identity shift. And this was around the same time that the Audacity brand was born. Because for me, I recognized that, as I was saying earlier, I'm not the best in that field. And it wasn't the thing that I could talk about day in, day out, all day, every day. Whereas you give me some confidence and some leadership coaching, I can talk to you about that, the brain, business, everything that I love talking about. I was pigeonholing myself into a sphere that didn't actually facilitate me talking about much of that. There were elements that crossed over, but it wasn't all of the stuff that I really enjoy talking about. So for me, when I did actually decide to pivot, you know, I was working with a coach and I was doing all of these things, and I had to say, not that my time with my coach was wasted, but I realized like afterwards it was like, okay, hang on a second. We were doing great work, but in the wrong area, which was why I pivoted. And now I am in my lane. I'm in my arena with the confidence and leadership coaching, because I could talk about that till the cows come home. And that was a pivot moment that I had to embrace. And then there's also the fact of, oh, people are going to see you doing all of these different things. So what? You've got to try what fits until you find your thing. And this is where embracing the ability of pivoting comes into it, because when you can say like, I'm doing this and now I'm doing this and now I'm doing this, you're getting that real data and you're actually showing that you are someone who can produce output in an area. And the more time, like the quicker you fail, the quicker you learn how to succeed. And being adaptable means being comfortable through the periods of chaos when you do pivot, because it is chaotic. You're running these different lanes, you're trying new things, you're making decisions based on not much information and not much real life feedback, because you haven't actually started the thing yet. Having adaptability is understanding that you are going to be in chaos when you do pivot. It is inevitable. And it's not a bad thing, because you are juggling multiple lanes of information. You are trying new things. You're actually failing and getting feedback as you go, which is exactly what you need to understand if your pivot has been the right thing or if you need to pivot further. But when you're adaptable, it's actually understanding that adaptability isn't the absence of chaos during change. It's the ability to keep moving through it without waiting for certainty that doesn't come. If you're in a mid-pivot period and it feels messy and you have no idea what's going on and things are all over the show, that's a good sign. It's a sign that you're doing it. It's not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're actually doing it. And often that's exactly what comes right before the clarity. Now, here is the identity crisis that nobody warns you about when you decide to pivot. Here's the part that no business coach ever puts on a slide. When you pivot your business, your identity pivots too. And that part is brutal, because when you pivot, you change directions. You don't just change your offer or your messaging, you change who you're being in public. And you if you've spent a lot of time putting yourself out there in one light, then pivoting and going into another light, as I said before, people are going to look at you and be like, what is she doing? What are they doing? What's happening? I thought you were doing this, now you're doing this. And that can scare us a lot more than just recognizing that, hang on a second, I'm in the wrong lane and I need to be going this way. You make that decision and now everyone's getting to know you in this lane, but you're going over here. And that's a change process, not only for you, but also for the people that know you and your clients, your business. So when you go through that, you're changing your identity and how you're seen in public. And that's a lot harder to navigate than just changing your offer. If we have tied a specific identity, I am a weight loss coach, for example, or I'm a health and fitness coach, to ourselves, when we change to I am a confidence and leadership coach, people are going to say, hang on a second, weren't you doing this? What's happening with that? Why have you gone here? But the important thing is to remember that it's your business and it's your direction. And the right people will come on the journey with you and the wrong people will just drop away. Often, a lot of the time, we get consumed with people following us for what we were doing, which isn't a bad thing. It shows that they had interest in that specific area that we were operating in. But now we've pivoted and now we've changed direction and our identity is changing as well. We have to take people on that journey. And like I said, some people will naturally come and some people will fall away. And it's not a bad thing if people fall away, because it will take you quicker to your target audience when they do. If you are trying to be a confidence and leadership coach and people are only following you for health and fitness and you're not in that realm, you're going to have to give them the flick so you can make space for people who actually want your confidence and leadership coaching, for example, right? Whereas often we get really worried that, hang on, they won't see me in this light, they'll only see me ever in this light. But when you pivot and you become adaptable, you can embrace the fact that you've changed. For me, I'm open to talking about the fact that I've changed directions, because I would rather people know that I've gone from doing this to doing this now, because I recognize that this is what I love talking about. This is what I know the most about. This is what makes me feel confident and what I love getting involved in. Whereas I know, and I look at the positioning of I want to best serve my clients and the people around me. I know that people would get better results for health and fitness coaching with someone who's truly passionate about it, rather than someone who has passion for confidence and leadership coaching, for example. So your products and services might not serve the people who are following the old direction of you, or they might rather, but now you've got this whole new sphere and direction that you're going in, and you can get clients and get people on board with that who actually want that kind of coaching or want that product or service. The fear of what will people think is one of those fears that you're going to have to live with, because business is ever changing. You've got to pivot, you've got to grow as things lift and shift and change. You've got to keep up with the times, and that's going to require you to be agile and adaptive and pivot a lot. And it's not a bad thing. Pivoting and changing direction is not a bad thing. It means that you are getting real feedback on what's working, what's not. What are you enjoying? What aren't you? How do I align myself further to my obligation in life and then deliver that back to people? Because that's what people want. They want to work with people who know what they're talking about, who love what they're doing. And if you're working in a realm that isn't aligned with what you truly want to do, people are going to see that. But when you can tell people like, hey, I did this thing and I realized that it's actually not for me. And, for me now, if you want health and fitness coaching, there's so many people that I can link you in with who would be wicked for you to work with. But for me, if you want to work with me, it's in that confidence and leadership space. That's my bread and butter. Not the other way around. Your identity as an entrepreneur is not supposed to be fixed. The ones who thrive are the ones who let it evolve with them, with what they know, with alignment to the direction that they want to go in. Now, here is the biggest mistake people make mid-pivot. What actually derails a pivot? And in my experience, it's almost always the same thing. The most common mistake I see is people trying to serve the old audience and the new one at the same time, which waters down both. If you have pivoted away from a health and fitness coach to a confidence and leadership coach, you need to focus your efforts into confidence and leadership. You can't be back in the health and fitness realm. That's not your realm anymore. But the biggest mistake that people make is because we don't want to lose those people who already follow us or are already engaged in our things. We want to keep them there. So we still want to feed into that. But now we're going on this new direction and we've pivoted and we want to feed into their energy over here, and we're diluting ourselves instead of just saying, hey, not my realm anymore. Now I'm here. You either come on the journey or let them go. And it's a hard thing letting potential clients go and potential money. But when you pivot and you know that you've made the right call, which you often won't until after you've done it and then you get some feedback after you've been in it for a little while, you will understand that the quicker you change angles and then address the target audience that you're going after, the quicker you will see results. Because if you try and water yourself down to serving these guys and these guys, you are going to lose yourself in the process. Another common mistake that I see is announcing the pivot before it's clear enough to execute, then having to walk it back. What does that mean? It's realizing that you want to change directions, but not exactly knowing where that is. Now you're still making decisions on, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? Yep. Trialing this, I'm thinking that this is the area that I want to go into. And instead of getting really crystal clear on what that looks like, just telling people, I'm doing this now. But maybe it actually isn't that thing that you want to do. Maybe it's something else. Okay, well, if you've just announced it and now you've got to backtrack, that's where you can open yourself up to getting that more criticism from people, which is one of the things that I help people navigate in my coaching is letting go of the criticism from others, because at the end of the day, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to fail. We're going to pivot. We're going to change directions and things are going to go all over the show. But if you want your pivot to work, sometimes you just need to embrace it. Hang on, I'm letting this element go for now. And I'm not announcing exactly what I'm doing. I'm figuring it out. And people will see that and they'll pick up on that and just play around with the different directions that you can go in or you're exploring. And do a little bit of test of theory. Okay, run some ads for this, do some ads for that, see what happens here. Something will come up, but how that works, it might not just be a cookie cutter. Yep, this is what I'm doing now. Stick, let's go. All my energy to that. Sometimes you've got to figure out your pivot, which is where you're sat there trying to make a decision without all the information. So you've got to navigate that. You cannot straddle the old and new indefinitely. At some point, the pivot is going to require you to actually pivot. Fully, visibly, and without hedging. A clean pivot is one moment where you fully commit to the new direction before the results are in, remembering that the results will come after you do pivot. Because if you've gone in a completely new direction, they haven't actually found you yet. Your customers and target audience aren't there. So it's learning and getting them, finding them, which is where you have to release the old version and then go to the new version. And that's when you make the clear snap of the pivot. Okay, this is what I'm doing. And if you haven't figured out what it is that you want to pivot into, you stay in the exploration zone until you find it. And then you can make it very clear. Because playing around and trialing and error is going to be one of the things that actually delivers value to you quicker than anything else. Now the fun part. How to pivot with audacity instead of an apology. What does a clean, purposeful, actual pivot look like when you execute it well? Most pivots are announced apologetically. I've been on a bit of a journey and I realize I need to change direction. That framing positions the change as a mistake being corrected, not as an evolution being owned. For me personally, the biggest shift that I had was stepping into the Audacity brand. Because when I found that and when I found the direction of confidence and leadership coaching through Audacity, everything locked for me. Now I can say that with conviction, unapologetically, that confidence and leadership coaching with Audacity is exactly what I do. And I don't want to be going back and forth and being like, oh, I was doing this and now I'm doing this, because it doesn't instill trust and confidence in your brand, in your business, and in yourself. When I pivoted and truly pivoted, I had to snap into that direction and realize that everything I'm doing is for this. Anything that isn't that actually isn't aligned with what I want to do. It might be serving the old version of me or something else, and I need to change that. So when I learned to pivot, I chose Audacity because Audacity is exactly what you need to have confidence in yourself and in your leadership. Once I figured that out, my whole pivot was solidified that this is the direction that I'm going. And I could say that with conviction and ownership on my branding, my positioning, my business positioning, because that's exactly what it is. There's no cookie cutter template of being, oh, I might be doing this, I'm doing this. No, if you come to me, I can tell you exactly what I do, because I have made it a point to not apologize for the fact that I was in a few different directions and I was working it out. I've worked it out, and now this is what I do. And when you do figure it out, you need to solidify your pivot to be so snapped on to your new direction that it wasn't I'm correcting a mistake. Oh no, I just realized I hit a bump, but here we are, and this is it. Let's go. Because that's going to hit a lot better than, I had to lug the cart around this thing, and, there were a few bumps on the road, and now I've stumbled into this track and I think it's the right thing. That's not the energy. The energy that you need to bring is, okay, hit a bump, realize, yep, now we're here. This is it. It's always been this, now go. You need to own the pivot as a signal of growth, not a correction of failure. I know more than I did back here, and I'm building with that. It's about having confidence and conviction in your pivot has pivoted you in the right direction. Audacity in business doesn't mean never changing directions. Rather, it means changing directions boldly, proudly, with purpose, and without asking for permission. Because that is how you pivot into your brand in a confident and audacious way, instead of apologetically. If you're in the middle of a pivot and right now the identity piece is something that's holding you back, maybe you're lacking confidence, maybe you're lacking leadership, maybe you're lacking structure or someone to hold you accountable. That's the exact work that I do with my coaching. If you want to find out more, you can go to the links below. There's free calls, there's freebies. You check it out, because I'm either going to be for you or not for you, and that's totally fine. But I want you to remember, pivot with purpose, pivot with audacity, and pivot unapologetically. Until the next one.